Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today I want to break down this all-new game mode that is coming to the Division Resurgence called the Lone Wolf mode. Now, if you watched my breakdown of the developer diary heading into this latest beta for the Division Resurgence, we talked about this mode in there. It is something brand new to this new iteration of the game. It has not been there before. And the premise, at least from what they said, was that it was a solo-only mode focused around allowing you to push your builds and test your builds to the possible limit. It sounded pretty cool, and now that the beta has begun, I've had a chance to jump in there, test it out, take a look at what's actually going on, and I want to report all of that to you all. Especially because even if you don't plan on playing Resurgence, this is an all-new mode to the Division franchise, whereas a lot of Resurgence's ideas are just evolutions or other content features that we've seen in previous games. So like I said, even if you don't plan on checking this out, I think it's important to give everybody the context of what this mode is in case it seems like something that people would want to see in other titles in the future, like the Division 2 or the Division 3. So hopefully that sounds good. If you enjoy breakdown and coverage on everything Division like this, then I would appreciate you considering clicking that subscribe button. But let's go. We're going to jump straight in and break down the details on this new Lone Wolf mode. Alright, so when you're in the Resurgence beta, this mode first unlocks at level 13, I believe it is, and then if you go to the event playlist, this will be on there, and you can go in there. This is the first screen that you will see if you click on the Lone Wolf Challenge, as they call it. There's a lot here, so it might seem confusing at first, but we're going to go through and break down each piece individually. First, if you click on the overview, they give you a 3-page kind of description of what this all entails, so let's go through that. Gameplay rules. The Lone Wolf Challenge is a solo mode that resets periodically, consisting of training stages and challenge stages. Rewards for training stages can be claimed once, while challenge stage rewards can be claimed every 21 days. Players must begin at the lowest stage and advance to higher stages. Completing time-based stages with a 4-star rating unlocks the subsequent stage. Once all training stages are unlocked, challenge stages become available. So what this basically breaks down, and again we'll get into more of it in a minute, but there's kind of two parts to this mode. One is linear and one is, from what I understand, infinite. So through the 15 levels, I want to say it is, they each have a recommended power score, which is basically a gear score. So you're going to be able to take on more of those the higher level you get and the more gear you get. Once you then complete all of those though, then they kind of unlock these challenge stages, which I believe are more infinite and can kind of tailor to your builds as you progress over time. So those are kind of the two sides to the mode. If we move on then, the next panel here is about the buff description. So each reset cycle that features a Lone Wolf Challenge buff applicable to all stages, varying by specialization and cycle. Utilizing the buff effectively can enhance stage completion efficiency. At each stage's start, players can choose one of 3 specific stage buffs to apply until the next stage. The 3 buff options for all stages will be randomly reset the following day, offering alternate choices for the next challenge. So again, that might sound confusing, but we're actually going to take an in-depth look at both of these in just a minute, so hang tight. And then the last panel says challenge objective. In each level, players should focus on mission objectives in the navigation bar and the challenge time. Completing the level within the time limit grants a one-time clearance reward. Meeting specific time conditions earns star rewards. The leaderboard displays the completion time ranking for the highest level of the current cycle. At the cycle's end, the top regional player receives their rewards via mail. So that part is pretty cool because, like they said, this is on a 3-week cycle and it resets after every cycle. So if there's a cycle that you've put together a good build and you want to try and go for it, you can push to be at the top of the leaderboard, and if you are and you have the fastest clear time by the end of the cycle, you'll get an exclusive reward in your mailbox. That's pretty neat. Alright, so that was the overview. Now we're back at the general panel screen that we saw before. In the top left, you'll see a thing where it says time left, and it shows you how many days, and it says, if you click on it, that is the 21-day reset timer that the mode has. Again, it's a 3-week cycle, so that's how much time is left on this current cycle. Below that, it says buff description, and if you click on that, it brings up the overall buff and just general modifier that gets put on the experience, and this changes depending on which specialization you have equipped when you're heading in there. And I think this is pretty cool because it tailors it more towards what each specialization is about. So it really does, like the dev said, kind of tailor to your specific build and playstyle. And again, this modifier is active anytime you're in this mode while you have that spec on. So the Vanguard gets Veteran, the Demolitionist gets Rock and Roll, the Tech Operator gets Guardian Squad, etc. You get the idea. Then moving over to the right side, we have the different stages. Now it says that these are the training stages, and again, that is the first time you're going through these. It is considered a training stage because it's like a one-time thing. You clear it, you move on to the next one. And what's cool is that they each have a recommended power score, so the mode kind of scales with you as you level up. So level 1 there, as you see, I'm at 4.9k power score, and this one only requires, or the recommended is 3.4. So I'm actually kind of over leveled for this specific stage, but then if you move on to 2 and 3, they get higher. Level 3 there is a 5.3k power score, which is higher than what I currently am. For each stage, you can then click and see the kind of enemy info that's going to be there. This is pretty cool. It shows you the damage type that they are. I'm not sure if this is either the damage type they're dealing or whether they are susceptible to. Resurgence has these different damage types on weapons, so you can kind of apply the same one to have those additional bonuses, but it shows you those different cleaner archetypes. Again, for the power score, it says that if you're below the recommended score, it will be considered hard, but if you're above, then it will be considered easy. This is also neat. For each individual stage, again, these are not the same. They differ in location, objective type, whatever. When you're on one, you can click and see the actual objective types that are going to be in there. So for stage 1 here, it has total elimination, which is just defeat all the enemies, and there will be multiple respawn waves. And capture point, which is pretty similar to hold the SHD crates in like Countdown or Summit in the Division 2. And then lastly on this screen, what you're able to do is see the individual rewards for each stage. So you can see there is a base level of completion rewards. If you finish it, that's what you get. But then also, depending on how quickly you do it, you get these additional stacking rewards. So if you do it with still the most amount of time left, you'll get all of those things. Or if you go down 1 tier, 2 tiers, you'll get those subsequent rewards. You get the idea. And again, in the very bottom left, there is those leaderboards, which again, you can climb to try and get to that top spot and get those exclusive rewards. I don't have it unlocked yet at the level that my character is at, but that's where they'll be. Alright, and then when you first load into a lone wolf level and the mode itself, right, you're going to be presented with this screen. Now you have the base specialization modifier that we just went over, but what you also get is before you head into each stage, you get to choose a tactical boost. And this is kind of cool because for the most part, to my understanding, they're all buffs, but they have different durations, right? So you can see on the 2 left ones, they say effective for this stage, whereas the one on the right is effective for this stage and the next one. So the ones that are just effective for the stage you're on are going to be more powerful, right? Because they are for a shorter duration. So maybe you're on a higher level lone wolf challenge and you're like, well, I really need that extra power if I'm going to complete this in a good time. But for me, I went for the one that lasts for this stage and the next because it means that I get to then stack bonuses when I head into level 2. I get a new modifier selection. And since I was already over leveled for level 1, I didn't really need, right, the extra power. So it's kind of cool how you can make that choice. And then I headed in there. So I'll play some gameplay in the background of what is going on from my time with this. And I completed the 2 stages and you'll see gameplay of that. It's an interesting blend of like some past Division experiences. I think there's a bit of Summit in there. There's a bit of Descent with the different choices you're making. And I would say there's even a bit of Underground from the Division 1. Because not only is this really tailored to your experience, you also have these time trials and these different objectives you're trying to complete. There's individual choice in the bonuses, and the locations kind of differ. This first one, the first level, kind of looked a lot like Summit. I was kind of taken aback at first. I was worried the whole thing was going to look like this. But then the next stage was in this like underground kind of treatment facility. So they are very different per stage. But what I did actually really appreciate, typically I'm not a fan of time trial stuff, but since these are not complex objectives, right, you're not trying to do anything crazy, it's just killing enemies, it really is something to push your build to the limits because you're able to say, how many enemies can I take out in this quick amount of time? And if I'm able to achieve that, then I get these extra rewards. And again, these are the early levels, so we're not seeing anything crazy here, but this is pretty cool. And I already knew what to expect heading in because again, it lets you see what objective types are going to be in for each level. So for this first one, I just had the team elimination one, or just take out all the enemies. Then there was a capture point later on. And at this point, right, there's not too much to it. You're just trying to go as fast as you can. You can see at the top the timer. That's how long I still have remaining. I can see how many stars I'm currently going to earn. And you can see that if I get down to 420 seconds, that's when I would lose a star level. Once you do complete a level, it will then give you this screen in the top left. You can see what level you were on, how much time it took you. Obviously, it says challenge successful. I got those rewards and the number of star rating there that I got looks like 6 stars here. The rest of those time-based rewards you get after you leave the mode, so don't worry about that. And then you get the choice. You can either leave the mode and get those rewards, or you can go on to level 2. Now, it's important to know you don't lose anything by leaving or continuing, right? It's all the same either way, but you can either just stay in the mode or back out. I chose to stay in because I knew that I was leveled enough for the next challenge anyway. And then we got to level 2. I get to pick my tactical boost. And again, because I made that choice before to have the previous tactical boost available for the first round and this one, you can see it at the bottom there that it carries over. So I now have 2 boosts because I chose that one that has a bit less potency. And again, that's cool that you can make that choice depending on how much power you really need. And then, like I said, we were on to stage 2 here, which was in a totally different location. I had different objectives. This one was protect the hostage. And then, like I said, once you do eventually back out, you can go back to the Lone Wolf Challenge kind of UI panel, and for each stage that you completed, you can click on it, see how many tiers of rewards you got based on how fast you completed it, and you can claim those directly from this. And all in all, I would say it's pretty rewarding, and I imagine that the higher levels you go, the more lucrative types of rewards and loot they're able to offer you. So, there you have it, folks. That is a general breakdown and look at the new Lone Wolf mode coming in the Division Resurgence. Again, it's important to keep in mind that my experience here and what I'm showing off is just the very early levels of this. I think it goes all the way down to level 15, and that's just the first stage as we talked about, those kind of training stages. So this mode has a ton more depth. I'm sure it gets crazier the further down you go, but that's a general idea of what to expect from this new experience. Again, without having gone super far into it, I just think it's cool that it does kind of tailor to your own playstyle. You have those different buffs for specializations. You can choose your own modifiers, and it really does allow you to push your build to the limits. But that's a breakdown and some of my thoughts, and I want to hear what you guys are thinking about it. Whether you're playing Resurgence right now in the beta and you've tried this out, or you're just watching from this video, let me know what you think about the Lone Wolf mode experience. Is it something that interests you? Is it something that you would want to see in other Division games in the future? Let me know it all down below. I'm going to let a bit more uninterrupted gameplay go after this. You'll see kind of the ending of the second stage, and it really did come down to the wire, right? I was almost out of time, and so you can kind of see me panicking and trying to kill these enemies fast because I want to get that top tier reward. And I imagine that those kind of scenarios are only going to become more common the further into the mode you go, and so again, that kind of urgency is pretty cool to have in the experience. But for now, that's all I have. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. RogueGold. Ow.
Got him lined up just right. Target is healing up. Keep moving, but keep your head down. Solid contact. Stay low. Not sitting our rank. Get the safe from the fire. Time, son of a bitch. Got him lined up just right. Solid contact. Your power tech dollars at work. This is getting serious. Son of a bitch.
Serious trauma detected.
Almost done. Laying down suppressive fire. Perfect angle, perfect range. Son of a bitch! Keep your head down! Playtime's over! Son of a bitch! Shot! They're trying to plant us! Cover our guys! God, I wanted! Moving up! Got him lined up just right! Moving to new cover!